Well, now, former Chief of Defense Staff, General Theophilus Danjuma, retired, has criticized President Bola Tinubu-led Nigerian government for the persistent insecurity in the country. Now, speaking at the annual Monyo Fishing and Cultural Festival in Ibi local government area of Taraba State on Friday, Danjuma lamented that Nigeria's security challenges have reached the point where the country has become a disgrace and a laughingstock in the eyes of the world. He emphasized the urgent need for decisive action to address the security challenges before they completely overwhelm the nation. Well, Danjuma highlighted that the level of insecurity in Nigeria has become so severe that it discourages both local and foreign investment, as well as those that come for tourism. Now, he stressed that urgent measures must be taken to restore security. Well, this is what a lot of Nigerians have been saying. Well, as the current situation poses a significant threat to the country's development and international reputation. But I dare say that Nigeria is not the only country having insecurity issues. Some would say that basically the issues that Nigeria is grappling with borders around corruption. And it might be corruption itself that, would make Nigeria a laughing stock. Well, VOP TV gathered several incidents of insecurity over the weekend. Bandits waylaid and killed security personnel, including a captain, soldiers and vigilante, all right, while they were responding to a distress call in the Basa and Alawa communities of the Shiroro local government area in Niger State on Friday. We also recall the one that happened in Okwama. No regard for security personnel. Well, see finish, not enter. That's what some people will say. Of course, it's you don't even do this in other climes. You don't do this. You see them, you avoid, even if you overpower them, you don't kill them because you know that the arm of the government will come heavy on you. You have nowhere to run. But we are experiencing a different thing here. Well, your state, a clergy from one of the churches named Olugbenga Olawore, along with 14 other travelers, was kidnapped on the Lanlate Eruwa Road. Additionally, gunmen attacked two communities, Mango and Bokos, resulting in the death of 15 people, including a 200-level computer science student of the Plateau State University, Bokos. Now, these events were just over the weekend, in addition to the many others that have happened in Nigeria. All right, we do expect that a virtual guest will join the conversation. That's Barrister Fred Nzako. Okay, we understand that Barrister Fred has joined the conversation. He's a lawyer and a development consultant. And we still have with us in the studio Mr. Akin Fatunke, who is communications consultant, economist, and a public affairs commentator. Well, let me start with Barrister Fred. Good morning to you, Barrister Fred. Now, insecurity in Nigeria, regardless of how insecurity has plagued Nigeria, the government of the day still believes that if it woos foreign investors will come to Nigeria. How do you react to this ideology that insecurity has not exactly been fixed, or maybe Boko Haram and the rest of them are technically been defeated, and we want investors to come? Will they come? Will this continue to affect Nigeria's development?
It will be obviously laughable for anyone to think that investors will open their eyes and go to a country that is not secure to invest. This security does not only affect the investment itself, it also affects the investor because one needs to be alive to continue in business and investment. and one also needs to be alive to reap from the benefits or returns of investment. So anybody who says that insecurity does not adversely affect the investment is not telling the truth and is not being realistic. A state of insecurity is a very major scare and a very major issue that bedevil investment. And when we talk about investment, we're talking about both local and foreign, because even Nigerians themselves, who are citizens of the country, will not be comfortable to invest and do businesses even when they are parts of their country is not secured. And not to talk of investors that are not citizens who are coming from outside. Meanwhile, the foreign investors have wide options open to them. They can go to any other country where their money and their life will be secured. So why go to a country where there is high level of risk and a high level of insecurity where nothing is sure? So the admonition that insecurity is affecting Nigeria's investment, affecting Nigeria's domestic productivity, affecting Nigeria's growth, affecting Nigeria's economy, and even affecting Nigeria's welfare and ease of doing business and enjoyment of life. It is a very bad wind that blows no good in any way you consider it.
All right, Barrister, I'm still going to stay with you. Well, by the Constitution, one of the primary duties of the president and his administration is to secure lives of the citizens. Now, at this point, insecurity is becoming something very worrisome. I dare say at this point also that our hearts and prayers go to the family of the young 200 level student that also lost his life to these criminals. Now, isn't it about time that this government places a state of emergency on insecurity, because it's becoming one too many?
The major problem, yes, I agree with you that the primary responsibility of government is the security and lives of property of citizens. And that is the whole essence of government, because that way the citizens themselves will not be compelled to resort to self-help, which may precipitate anarchy, chaos, and terrible situations in the system. But where the government has failed to do so, it now becomes the responsibility of all citizens. Not because we want the citizens to resort to self-help, but the citizens will now have to do everything they can to ensure that their lives are secured. And that will include, one, deciding who now becomes that person in government. In which case, at the point of election, the citizen must know and consider issue of security before they elect any leader. Number two, the citizens themselves need to cooperate with the security agencies by way of intelligence gathering and intelligence sharing, and pointing out to the security agencies areas that have challenges and issues and situations that need to be addressed by the agencies. Number three, the citizens themselves need to, as a matter of urgency, ensure that they do not harbor the criminals who make this environment insecure. Every criminal has a nativity. Every criminal has a family. Every criminal has a village, a town, or a place of residence. And as a matter of fact, where the citizens themselves become wary of their responsibilities, they will very easily smoke out the criminals when they in their cooperation with the security agencies, and ensure that the criminals are not given resting place. Now, some of them can be said to enter the forest to go and hide and operate for the forest. It's also the duty of the citizens to point out their track routes to the forest, to those security agencies, and for the agencies themselves to do what they should do to ensure that the forests themselves are cleared of these criminals.
All right.
It's a synergy of all concerned stakeholders.
All right.
Even though the government has more duties and more responsibilities in this regard.
All
right,
right, then.
now-
Thank you very much.
You actually, Barrister, you made mention of citizens playing a role, but now I'll get to you, Mr. Akin. Do you also share that particular, idea that citizens need to play a role in making sure that insecurity is curbed in the country by telling military personnel where there's the people who perpetrate the act of killing and all that? I remember that some time ago, or just few weeks, let's say, yes, few weeks ago, the state or the military let some of the Boko Haram repentants back into Borno State, back into the system. Now, how do you do you think the life of someone who was actually said this person is a criminal, arrest him? Do you think that person's life is safe? That's one. And the second one, again, looking at the way the federal government is working as regards this insecurity in Nigeria. Anybody that talks about this particular administration, they always run into defense, saying that they are too new or too young for them to be criticized. But just in 3 months, we have a data that says that 2,580 Nigerians killed, 2,164 abducted just in 3 months here in Nigeria. Now, in your own words, what do you make of this?
Barrister Fred, nice to hear
Yes,
you.
okay, the question is for me.
No, it's for me. Oh, I'm greeting you. I wanted to complain that I didn't see your wig this morning when you were making your analysis. And
Thank you. Thank you.
I believe you hit the nail on the head when we are talking developmentally. I, as a communications person, will approach FINA by saying, yes, Fred agreed. Security is everybody's responsibility. But you know, I believe that we play in this country. If we now begin to then say this particular government is not doing, the previous one didn't do well, we have not been able to put our fingers on curbing security in this country. And General Yakubu Danjuma making that noise today. Yeah, we call it noise, but it's a positive noise. He made that noise some years back on the Buhari government, in Jonathan's government, even in a government he served. It therefore tells me that we have continually looked at efficiency and not effectiveness. So this one come, do his own, the thing is festering, non-state actors, corruption. It boils down to one single word, developmentally. It's called governance. And when you want to govern, apart from all the rules and regulations, you must have the emotional intelligence to understand where you want to govern. I want to say, let angels come in 2027 to come and superintend the structure that we have in Nigeria. We are still going to continue to march in the same.
What then is the problem?
The problem is, first, the truth about our situation in Nigeria.
What's the truth?
The truth is the fact that Nigeria, the way it is not working.
Okay.
We must restructure. Moses, we are going to see life different from the way I see it. That's exactly what is happening. There is lack of trust. Nigeria has become so omnibus. We don't trust our military. The military don't trust us. Governance has fallen off the cliff. And the only way is to restructure Nigeria. And when we restructure, we are going to be looking at the economy, we are going to be looking here and there, and then we are going to be able to build trust. It's become so intractable. Governance also looks at our political economy. The political economy is such that we have election every 4 years, and we will not always agree because we don't trust one another. We have all the fault lines. So, for me, Fina, back to your question, it is not a matter of Bola Tinubu as an example, or is it Buhari, or is it Jonathan before him, or further down Yaradua and Obasanjo since. we must restructure Nigeria in way and manner that will be able to take care of virtually everything. People trust you. People believe that you are the type of leader we should be looking at.
Okay.
So people are talking about we going back into parliamentary. Whatever it is, the structure of Nigeria is not such that can make us effectively, in my honest opinion, tackle the issue of security.
right.
Until we fix that,
Okay.
we'll continue to say the same thing.
Well, you know what they say: trust is earned and not demanded. Let me come back to Barrister Fred. Let me bring you back into this conversation now. Talking about the issue of trust, we do know that what's been happening in Okwama, where the military, our security agencies were attacked, and then there were reprisal attacks, even though the security agency said no, there were no reprisal attacks. But we've seen videos of people in the creeks with their children running for their life. Do you think Nigerians in other parts of the country that have seen that will trust the military enough to want to give them information? Have they will such actions earn the trust of the people?
The unfortunate incidents that happened at Okwama, even though it is still under investigation, but it's very complex from the sound bites we have received. It's very complex from the information gathered, to the extent that nobody knows the real truth until maybe when the truth is unveiled by the investigators. If and again, if, capital if, the investigators themselves are honest and sincere to unravel the truth. Because people have disagreed with the military that they are not the agency that should investigate the incidents, because they are also involved. The doctrine of fair hearing does not allow a participant to investigate a matter where the participant has interest. So we expected a kind of judicial inquiry that will unravel what exactly happened in Okwama, so that the whole idea is, apart from bringing justice to those who are crying for justice, we also learn from our mistakes of the past and avoid similar things happening in the future. It is because of lack of such open truth that what happened in OD many years ago was repeated in Zakibiam, and now after some years now happened at Okwama. Apart from the military losing men, the police also lost their men to such insecure environment. So it has become a situation one too many that it is important at this point to bring out the truth. The truth is not only going to bring reconciliation, but it is also going to bring cooperation and understanding between the citizenry and their own security agencies. Don't forget that the Nigerian citizen is not supposed to run at a cross purposes with the security agencies. They are supposed to synergize and cooperate with one another to fight a common enemy. The common enemy is the criminal. The criminal is not leaving the citizen alone, and the criminal is not leaving the security agencies alone. So that common criminal must be fought by collective efforts of both the agencies of government and the citizenry themselves. Now, to have that cooperation, there is need for trust. That's why I agree with my brother Ake that there is trust deficit in our system.
Now, the question now is, how can the trust be developed, seeing what has been playing out, especially in recent times? We also have a situation whereby Nigerian government have been accused in the past of giving leeway to repentant terrorists and, bringing them into the military.
Trust deficit is very high because of the actions of government. you brought a very critical and typical example where so-called repentant terrorists, I use the word so-called because you do not know, they said, the Holy Book says, the depth of the mind is so deep.
Who
The
can
mind of
fathom?
a human being is so deep that nobody knows.
Yeah.
One can come to claim to have repented, but yet say harbor those terrorist tendencies that actually drove the person into terrorism in the first place. There was a particular case in Enugu where one woman was killed and dismembered on 82 Division by a so-called repentant terrorist that was drafted into the military. So that simply shows that the antics and this blood of terrorism still runs in the life and the stream of that fellow. So when government pampers some people and call them repentant, and on the other side begins to attack others who did not even qualify to be called terrorists, that easily brings a deficit in terms of trust. And that is one major thing that I said, that what brings trust is truth and justice. And in any environment where there is lack of truth and lack of justice, their trust will be very, very scarce in that environment. A government has the responsibility to lead the way, the responsibility to ensure that everybody is given equal treatment under the law, and ensure that there is truth in whatever operations of the agencies of government are carrying out.
Right.
In terms of all this,
Sorry.
there cannot be trust.
Okay,
Alright.
now talking about truth and justice, Nigerians have also lost trust in the judiciary system, which you are a major player in. If you want to react to, how the judiciary can regain the trust of Nigerians, what would you say?
Every organ of government has lost the trust of Nigerians, not only judiciary. In fact, even if you put it on a scale, the trust on judiciary is even the highest over the trust on the executive and the trust on the legislature. Of course, you remember that these are the three arms of government. At all levels, the judiciary is the one that has the highest quantum of trust by the people. So if such hallowed arm of government can be distrusted, that means that even the other two arms of government have very low reckoning in the minds and in the opinion of Nigerian public. And why is that so? It is so because, like I said earlier, there's lack of justice in the system. The executive does not think of the people. Most times they think of themselves, and that is why Nigeria can be described in that way and manner it was described by General T.Y. Danjuma, who himself has been part of the system for a very long time, but has always been critical of that same system. I recall that some time ago, T.Y. Danjuma, the same General Danjuma, said that Nigeria is not worth dying for. Meanwhile, he signed to die for Nigeria. So that's simply as a soldier. So that simply tells you that there is a lot of disconnection between the government and the people at all levels. And how do you now bring the disconnection to come to an end and make sure that the people own their government? With the way Nigeria is run today, the people do not own their government, and that is why their government do not work for them.
All right.
All right.
Such a narrative needs to change for us to be able to ensure that there is trust
All right, then.
in the system.
All right, then.
All right. Now to you, Mr. Akin, talking about retired Danjuma, he was of the opinion that Nigerians need to take decisive, action to stop the issue of insecurity. But you could also recall that during the time of President Jonathan, under Hejirika, he was of the opinion that since the issue of, in quote, Boko Haram insurgents group then was somewhere in Borno State, that state of emergency should be declared at that point. He took that to be a decisive action to curb that as of that time. But a lot of people were against him, saying that, no, an attack on the North is an attack on their people. Even another administration actually made mention of that. now it has trickled down from Borno State to all parts of the country. What are decisive actions you think Nigeria is need to take at this time? Because state of emergency, they say no to it. Release, what was it called? The way the Tinubu, the Buhari administration painted his own, it was of the opinion that we have to find a way to, work on it. What do you think should be decisive actions?
Decisive action is, like Fred said, truth, and he talked about justice. I also say that I want to add something called equity. Be fair to all. Same rules should apply across board. Those are some of the things you want to see before you start to say that you want to show the equity, the trust deficit. Lead by example. I want to see situations, and you are talking about the legal, so you don't trust the judiciary. I can understand. Do you trust the PACN? Do you trust members of our National Assembly? Coming down to the household level, does husband absolutely trust the wife and vice versa? The only way, again, to get an efficiency into this is to say that the roads that we have been treading, it's not going to take us anywhere. It didn't take us anywhere. And if we still are fixated on that same road, it's going to get to worse.
Practically.
Henry David Thoreau made a statement that I will use here. And what did he say? It is not what you look that matters, it is what you see. Moses, you are crying, I'm crying. But other people don't see it the way we see it. So why do we want to couple ourselves together by force? So we can get together, find a way. If this is the way you want to continue to do things, example will be 10 governors in the north wanting to go to America to go and see how to secure. For me, in the south, in fact, that is a no-no. But if you choose that that's what you want to do with whatever it is, then we restructure ourselves. Whatever resources you are capable of putting, put some things back in the center, and whatever it is you choose that you want to do, go ahead and do it. Dora Kunyele, raise our hands, all right. And General Yakubu Danjuma, again, Fred made an allusion diplomatically in there that has been part and parcel of the system, that Nigerians should rise up and take their country. He has always been part.
An advocate for.
Not only that, the Nigerian system that has been lopsided in terms of allocation of juicy blocks and stuff like that. Nigerians see that. Nigerians also see that a man becomes a part of government and he suddenly becomes a billionaire. You expect people to trust?
All right.
Hey, wait a minute. Let's get back to tell ourselves
we're honestly out of time,
and the only way
cannot extend this conversation beyond this. But we appreciate.
I can understand that. But the only way is tell ourselves the truth that Nigeria is not working, and we must get back to the drawing boards.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Akin Fatunke and Barrister Fred Ziako. But we'd like you gentlemen to stay with us as we go into another topic.
And the second topic of the day, Vice President Shetima attributes currency rebound to Tinubu's leadership. We'll discuss this when we return after this quick break. Stay with us.